Conversations, session number 1. This is our first session that we're starting today, and I'm so glad to have Kimberly and Diana joining me, and we're glad to have you joining us. And we're going to pick a subject out of our cookie jar, see what we're going to talk about today. Alone. Our subject is being alone. Have you been alone? Have you had a heartache, a heartbreak, where you just feel like you're alone? That's what we're going to study today.
Been there.
Girls. Me too. Me too. And sometimes, just every day, you can find yourself in the midst of being alone. And I know these girls probably have something to talk about, but let me get mine out of the way. Today is the anniversary of the Birdsong Beauty Bash. My mother-in-law and all my sister-in-laws and the granddaughters, we all get together and spend the weekend together. Usually, sometimes we go to Branson or Lake of the Ozarks or come to my house. That's what we were supposed to do this week, because we were supposed to go to the Jabez Retreat Center, but it closed due to this COVID. And due to the COVID, it got canceled and rescheduled for this year. We missed out on it. But several years ago, in 2012, my mama passed away. And just in a big funk, you know. And it was the Birdsong Beauty Bash back in 2012. And I was just feeling, you know, amongst all my sisters and girls that loved me, I'd never felt so alone in my life. And my mother-in-law had this game for us all to play, where you pick a word out of the hat. And guess what I picked? We picked a rock out of the hat. Mine just happened to be alone.
Wow.
And you know what? The devil just come and sat on my shoulder and said, "See, I told you." But we had devotion and through it all, and you know, you just pray and God gets you through stuff like that.
Amen.
And you're not ever alone. He promised never to leave us alone. He promised in His Word that He would always be with us. "I'll never leave you or forsake you." That's what Joshua tells us. In the book of Joshua, it says, "I'll never leave you or forsake you." And, you know, anything that we face, He's going to get us through it. If we let Him, if we choose to let Him, you know, or if we choose to kick our feet in the mud and just stay there. You know, we can do that and drown in our sorrows if we want to. That's our choice. But I'm here to tell you today that God can kiss your heartache away. And what about you girls? Have you ever been alone? Ever felt lonely? Been through a situation where, yeah, you know that God pulled you out of that?
Yes. You know, I remember after Jenny was born, and see if I can get through this without tears, but my mom had come out and stayed with us, and then when Jenny was born, she was in the hospital for another week, and when we got home, my mom had to go home. And I remember having 2 babies, because Philip was still under 11 months old, and then I had this baby. And Phil did tons of stuff, but I can remember feeling alone with those babies, even though Phil was there, you know. And you're right, God will come in and let you know that He's there with you in those situations, even when you're alone but you're with people. I agree. We're never alone.
Yeah.
Never.
But you can be in a big crowd surrounded by
feel
people
alone.
and feel like you're the only person in the room.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you have a situation you want to share?
A lot like your situation. My dad died when I was 20 years old. And the first few days, you just kind of walk around in a daze because it's shock. And then everything that you have to deal with after the death of a lost,
Yes.
loved one. You're not just dealing with their their absence, but you're dealing with, you know, all the things that they're going to miss.
Yes.
And it is hard, and it is lonely. And I remember thinking the exact same thing. You know, you're standing there at a funeral, and you're surrounded by everyone who's come to pay their respects, and yet you're very much alone in your grief.
Yes.
Grief has a way of making you feel that way.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
But Jesus has come to overpower that, you know, and to overshadow any grief or bitterness or loneliness. You know, He's there. My study this morning was so good. It was talking about David. You know, maybe he set out in the field as he was watching his sheep and holding the sheep in his arms and longed for, oh God, hold me like I'm holding this sheep. Will you hold me? And God does that. Jesus does that. He holds us just like we would hold on to a teddy bear
Yes.
or how my mama held on to me.
Yes.
Jesus is holding on to me like that.
Yes.
He takes the place of our grief and our pain. And I heard a song on the radio this morning, and I went back to YouTube and I wrote the words down, and I thought this was so good, and it kind of goes along with what I'm talking about. The chorus says, like a mother runs to kiss the tears and hurt away, like the soothing melody in a song, like the dew kisses the flowers with the morning mist, He kissed my heartache away.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
That's
not good?
great.
And that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Yes.
You know, as low as I can get,
Yes.
you know, if I will but ask Him, you know, He's there to
Yes.
make it all go away
In an
and
instant.
smooth it down and calm
Yes.
the storm in me.
Amen. Yes.
If you're going through a storm today or feel lonely, you're not alone. Jesus never leaves you. There's no hymn that says, no, never alone. I promise never to leave you alone. And Jesus is right there beside you. Get in your word today. Study it out for yourself. Read Joshua and Isaiah and Psalms. You know, get in your word. That word will lift you up. Jesus will lift you up. He'll kiss your hurts away.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today. We love you.